officially, officially welcome Jim Burton to our Bruton to our broadcast network family. And that's my drum roll. Jim, God bless you, man. Welcome, and how are you?
Hey, Kevin, how are you today?
Hey, you know what? I always respond the same way. If you have to ask me, I must be slipping. Come on now. I am wonderful. Thank you so much for your patience and your understanding. I apologize for running a little late. Had to run out for a few seconds, but we are here and we are grateful that you took time out to wait a few extra minutes to join us today. Do me a favor, Jim, if you don't mind. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and tell us where you're from.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Kevin. Yeah, I'm really glad to be with you all today. We had a lot of rain, and finally it's sunny, which is perfect timing to our broadcast today. Um, I live in Connecticut. I was born in Key West, so that was my first unusual thing, I guess you could say. I've had a pretty interesting life. I've traveled all over the world, all seven continents, been on the Titanic, Mount Everest, the North Pole, and a bunch of war zones. And then one day I met a widow with three babies and decided to, as I call it, join the circus. And at that time, my then wife said, well, you used to travel a lot and had a very exciting life, and now you're trying to settle down. Why don't you build those airplanes you've always talked about? So I did. When I was a little boy, I really was interested in early aviation, like World War One, and even before that, closer to the Wright brothers. So with my newfound free time and being in one place for a while, I did. And the first plane I built was a World War One fighter, and it flew well. And then I built this other little airplane that was pretty whimsical in design, like something out of a Disney film. And on its second test flight, that's when it crashed. I lost my engine, and I had no choice but to aim for a small lake. And I overshot the lake and hit all these tree trunks in the forest. And what followed is pretty much what brings us to our time together today.
Wow. Awesome. Man, I tell you, you know what? I know that everybody has a story, but I tell you, you have an amazing one because it's a pleasure, it's an honor, it's really a blessing to just be here with us today. And my goodness, well, I'm grateful. For those that don't know, of course, Jim Bruton is one of our featured authors on the GMAP Broadcast Network. Thank God for that. And he accepted the invitation to be here. We are encouraging you today. Stop by GMAP Broadcast Network, GMAP1.com. Click on the tab that simply says Featured Authors Bookstore. You will see a copy of the current cover that I am showing you on our broadcast television screen. The Practice in Between, The Art of Letting Go. You know what? Tell us about that, Jim, if you don't mind.
I sure will. So, right after my plane crash, I was helicoptered up to the Hartford Trauma Center, and uh, they basically put me into a coma because I'd broken all my ribs, ruptured both lungs. My right leg looked like a pretzel. Other than that, I was fine. But they said there were multiple, maybe a week's worth of 6 hour, 6+ hour operations coming up, some which only had a 2% chance of success. So they put me into a coma. And when they did that, I pretty much woke up somewhere else. And I mean, classically, we call that a near death experience, where you leave your body and you really kind of go find out what life's all about from a totally different perspective. And so I did. And we could talk about that later if you want. But to get to the meat of it, I wrote a first book called The In Between, Trip of a Lifetime. And then I had a lot of people say, well, how do we put some of this into practice? So I thought about it, and I said, I'm going through that phase of integrating this huge experience into my life now. And as I do it step by step on my own, I'm taking notes. And that's all I really have to offer is my firsthand experience of how to apply the question of, well, is what was true yesterday still true today, in a way that lends itself to self-discovery, but also a perspective that other people can use to ask questions of their own life. And so this one was called The Art of Letting Go. When I was recuperating in the hospital, um, I'll just tell it like it is. I mean, pretty much God and I, which was also the voice of the in between, which is where I call where I went during my NDE. was having a conversation with me, and I was not an alcoholic, but I had a stressful job before the plane crash, and I would come home, and if I wanted to have a rum and coke, I might have one. If it felt good, I might have three. Again, I know it was something I could choose not to do, but at the same time, while I was recuperating in a hospital bed, God removed from me the representation of alcohol. And he said, "What do you want to do with this?" He said, "Do you want to take it with you, meaning into my future? Or do you want to leave it behind?" He said, "If you want to take it with you, I will carry it for you," which is kind of heavy duty in a way, right? And he said, "But if you want to leave it behind, I will remove all attachment to it. It will be as if you never had a drink. It will have no pull on you." I immediately said, "Leave it behind." And he said, "Okay." And I just saw it disappear from view, like fade away. I haven't had a drink since, and this is almost 5 years ago. I don't think about it. It's just something other people do. I could go into a wine store and buy a bottle of wine for somebody else for dinner, or I could sit at a bar while people are drinking, and that's where you talk. There's no temptation whatsoever, and that's fine. And so, in further conversation, he said, "All the force of will you will ever need is found in the art of letting go.
Wow.
Always live life in celebration of the individual spirit, for no one and no thing can stand before the brilliance of a truly naked soul."
Wow.
And so, there's incredible power in vulnerability, in just surrendering, not giving up, but surrendering, opening up. In fact, in the Bible, where it says, "Be still and know that I am God," the actual translation would be closer to, "Let go
Mm.
and know that I am God."
Yeah.
And there's an old saying, I'm sure some of us have heard of the samurai, the legendary Japanese swordsmen from the Middle Ages. They were supposed to be so incredible. And there's an old saying that says, "On the field of battle, when a samurai draws his sword but throws his scabbard away, on this day he's free to fight his best, because he'll never need his scabbard again." This is how we're meant to live our lives every moment of every day, no matter what we do, whether we're cutting grass or mopping a floor, or an astronaut on their way to Mars, or a CEO or a doctor doing brain surgery. There's a certain letting go, and a certain abandon, a certain surrender to the divine will that is intended to be for us to have a natural relationship with God. Like there's only one steering wheel, and there's only one seat in the car for the driver to sit. And, we can be the passenger, but we really should give up the driving to those who know it best, those who can navigate, because we don't always know where the car is going. And we don't know, sometimes we're going on a scenic route for our own good, or to avoid something we shouldn't, see. And that's the nature of my near death experience. I was given the opportunity to see events in my future that were to my spiritual detriment, that were not good for me spiritually. They were still in their states of probability because they were still in the future. But as they approached the present, I was able to touch them. And if they gave me pain, I removed them. And at one point I said to God, I said, "I feel kind of embarrassed that I don't have a better moral compass to make these choices than pain. I don't have a piece of scripture. I don't have a religious icon or a model or anything." And he said, like, basically, "Don't worry about it. That the pain you feel in cleaning it up now is far less than the crushing weight of the chains to the world that you would forge around yourself if you made these choices." And at one point, I looked around and I saw the choices I was throwing away. And I said, "It looks like if I don't have a bad future, I have no future at all." And they said, "All choices have unintended consequences, some good and some not. The pain that each brings you is your guide." And then he said, "For those who make poor use of their choices, offering fewer possibilities could be called mercy." And at some point, I said, I I think I can live with this now. I think I've removed enough that I don't feel the pain of these choices, of the pain they will cause me and the pain they will cause others. And he said, "Well, Now the man who fell from the sky is not the same who flew into it. Pretty much kicked me out to come back here. And, there was a real question mark over my head for a few months as to what exact type of experience I'd had. But in the end, when I understood it, that it was a near death experience and then there's a historical precedent for it, I was able to start to read books and listen to audiobooks and meet people who had similar experiences. And that fellowship was incredibly invaluable.
Wow, man, I tell you that's amazing. And I can't say I can relate or understand because I've never had an experience such as that. Now, is this particular publication is this book something that is your first release, or is it a follow up to something that you had previously released before?
Well, my first book is out. It's being re-released right now. And that's the in-between trip of a lifetime. It's being re-released now. So I would say within the next week or two on Amazon, if you were to type that in or type my name, Jim Bruton, Bruton, and you'll find it. The second book is in pre-order state right now, and it's literally ready to go. So that link could be live any day now. And then again, that's the practice in between, the art of letting go.
Wow.
And so that's a follow-up to the first book, one that is more applied. Like chapter 1 is my near-death experience. So what I've sort of given you an overview is a little more detail there, the actual conversation I had. And then after that was the initial experience, as you wake up and you're coming to grips with what happened, and you're starting to realize from day one that you're different from the person before. I call it like Jim 1.0 was before the crash. The crash was the reboot, and now it's Jim 2.0, and I'm looking for the operator's manual and the support number. So
Wow.
anyway, like I said, as I started to ponder more on what was said about the art of letting go, I realized that that's the source of detachment. That's exactly the state we're supposed to be living in. So what I did is I looked at our different social and life conventions from that perspective, and some of the chapter headings are like, the attitude of the art of letting go with regards to work, or with regards to logic and emotions, learning to let go of the past. When we talk about atonement, the only way to truly atone is to make better choices in the future, because the past is dust. And that's how we live that truth. Also on the ending of relationships, because once you've touched the face of God, I guarantee you, not everybody who's been with you on the journey is going to be able to continue with you on the journey. And that's just sort of a vibrational difference. They won't feel comfortable around you, and you won't feel comfortable around them as time goes on. And that's okay. God loves them. God has them. But maybe now they need to walk a slightly different path than you. And that's just okay. People, when conditions are right, things appear. When conditions are no longer right, things disappear. But then I talk more about the integration and coping of the experience, and eternity and being present, being in that impossible now between the moment that just passed and the moment that's just coming. And that, and even the difference of linear and nonlinear thinking, ways of looking at things differently that actually have more compassion built in. This is also my book. And then also to look at what's the best version of yourself. If it'd be easy for the world to tell us that the best version of ourselves is the day we scored a big deal, or scored a big goal, or scored some kind of big win and we're on top of the world. But it's not. It's when we're getting the snot kicked out of us. The hero's journey is all about the person living in the village, and for some reason something comes up to drive them out or lead them out of the village, and they basically go on an epic quest. And in there, they may face death, but they will certainly face, the ups and downs of the world. And there is a transformation associated with that. And it's a necessary transformation. It's not always comfortable, but like God said, when we come home, we're not the same as the person who left. And then I think it's key. I sort of wrap up with talking about being authentic. You've heard the question, would you rather be respected or would you rather be loved? And the way I'm dealing with the question is, the difference of living authentically. Like if someone said, do you want to live authentically or live spiritually? I'd say you can't live spiritually until you're living authentically. There's a certain humility in accepting our faults. And like when my children would say, well, where's the boyfriend or the girlfriend of my dreams? I'd say, that's not the right question. Ask, how do you need to be loved? Because once you know how you need to be loved, you've accepted everything about yourself, warts and all, and you understand now the type of person you need in your life, and you also understand what you can give.
Wow, man! I tell you, you have so much knowledge and wisdom to share with people, and I'm excited. Gonna look forward to making sure that we do whatever we can in order to have that other book placed on our platform. Also, I didn't even know, but now I know, and it's a wonderful thing. And for those that don't know, if you're just joining us, of course, Jim is one of our featured authors on the GMAP Broadcast Network, GMAP1.com. Stop by, click on the tab that simply says Featured Authors Bookstore. You will see a copy of the current cover that I am showing you on our platform screen. Click on that cover. It will take you to the necessary location to receive more information and details about the author as well as the publication. Now, I know there are some people out there who, of course, they're going to want to show their love, care, concern, and support by receiving, downloading, and having a copy of this current publication as well as the other publication on their bookshelf to read and share with others. What is the process for them to do so if someone wanted to order and or receive a copy of your current publications?
Go on Amazon.com, and not today maybe, but give it a few days, and we can also I can let you know, and you could make an announcement, and look for The In Between, A Trip of a Lifetime, or The Practice in Between, The Art of Letting Go. And the books will pop up, and for the first book there's an ebook, there's a in print, and there's also an audio book. The second book I'm recording now for audio, so that will be up soon. So we're a little ahead of the curve, but that's okay. You can also visit my website and read an overview and see some other media links, and that's at inbetweenproductions.com. In Between Productions, that's plural with an S on the end, .com. And my contact info is there. So if you ever want to send an email or ask a question or share your experience, I welcome you to do that.
Well, I know that there are many people out there, and we have to accept it, Jim, that we are role models to someone, whether we like it or not. Someone is always watching, paying attention to our journeys, and they're saying to themselves right now, I can appreciate where a Jim has been and where he is, his experiences and what he's been through. But what's next for Jim Bruton? What would your response be to that?
Just continuing to live the truth. And as you said, Kevin, you never know who's watching you. And if you've treated them kindly, you may be the only person who's ever believed in them. And so to that extent, you're helping them more than imagine, and you're helping more people more than you can ever know. And it's all with the small things of just the way you live your life. And so that's why I say live authentically. My third book is basically being written as I live. I do know what it is titled. I do know what the cover will look like, but I'm not allowed to give the surprise away yet. So it's evolving, and it will be very much about delivering on the promise. Yeah. And our life here is a promise. Yeah. And in its delivery, we shine. Yeah. And other people start to shine. I say it's like this. When we talk about chemistry between individuals, if you have a tuning fork, I'm sure most people know what a tuning fork looks like. If you have another one that's exactly the same, tuned to the same frequency, if you bump the first one and it vibrates, and you put it near the other one that is sitting there totally still, it will start to vibrate because of the air pressure, but it will start to vibrate as well. There was no effort to that. It just does it naturally. To me, that's what spirituality is like, and that is what chemistry is like. It either is or it isn't, and there's no good or bad or up or down about it. It's being around people with whom you're in tune, and that's what our spiritual community is like, and those are the people we should seek to spend more time around. And one thing we can do in passing our time with these people is just notice your mind. Does your mind think less about the when you have virtue and vices? Do you find your mind thinks more about virtue and less about vice, just as a natural thing? Again, if so, you might want to spend more time around those people. So I think just continuing the self introspection, trying to keep an attitude of humility as much as possible, and just living life and continuing to share the evolution of the story. And that's it. We're all on the journey together.
Amen.
That's it. That's
wow.
all there is.
Well, again, I'm grateful for your presence here today. Thank you so much for being here. Also, I want to say thank you for just allowing us to be a part of your journey. That is just so powerful and appreciated. And of course, allowing GMAP to just kind of be in the loop as far as accepting the invitation to be a part of our broadcast network family. Of course, we're going to be inviting you back to get more and more as we continue to go forth. For those that don't know, you can also grab a copy of this conversation and share it with others. It will be placed on our YouTube channel as well as social media, Facebook, etc. And of course, we're also going to be airing this on our weekly Comcast cable program. And that goes into over 1 million homes, so Jim can share this information with those people around the world whom he may not have reached yet. People need to hear his story. People need to know his story. And we need your support in order to do so. And we're going to ask you to like, to share. And don't forget, when you go to Amazon, leave a review. It is so important for those reviews to be left. Show your gratitude. Even if you don't like it, tell him something. We don't expect that now. I'm not supporting that. But leave a review. Let him know you appreciate what he's doing and encourage him to continue to push this information out there to the people. Man, we just can't thank you enough for being here. We want you to know something, Jim, that if there's anything that we can do to continue to assist you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, please do not hesitate to give me a call, text, chat, tweet, whatever you do. And we want you to know that the answer will always be yes, and you will never have to ask us twice. We appreciate you. We love you. We support you. And we're going to encourage others to do the same. Once again, Jim Bruton here on the GMAP Broadcast Network, one of our featured authors. And, of course, stop by gmap1.com. And click on that tab that simply says Featured Authors Bookstore. Click on the current cover that you're seeing on our screen. And we're going to hope and pray that we can also include the other cover of the other publication yesterday. I'm just going to put that out there, Jim, because if we can, we're going to try our best to have it. And, of course, we're going to do everything we can to continue to present this information to as many people as possible. We thank God for you. We thank God for your presence. We're looking forward to receiving and inviting you back soon. Until next time, we want you to continue to be blessed and be a blessing to others, okay?
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it and appreciate your mission and all the people who joined up with you, and look forward to meeting up with everybody again. Have a great day.
And you have a great day as well. Jim Bruton here on the GMAP Broadcast Network. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll